The Simpsons has been such an influential show over the years. Without The Simpsons, many shows today would not be around. So it isn't surprising that many other shows have featured The Simpsons as guest stars. For example, shows like Family Guy, Futurama, South Park, LA Law, Sesame Street, Duckman. Wait a second. Go back. No, go back one more. LA Law? What the hell is an LA Law? Looking at this single frame, you might have a million questions. What is LA Law? Why is Homer in LA Law? And why is there a live action Homer? The only other time we saw a kind of live action Homer was in Treehouse of Horror 6 when he was a 3D model getting some erotic cakes. But that episode premiered 3 years after this LA Law episode came out. So it makes seeing this live action Homer so odd to look at, and honestly made me think it was fake or some kind of elaborate edit. But no, my friend, this single frame is real, and the story behind it is honestly too outlandish to believe. In today's video, I plan to explore this odd episode of LA Law featuring Homer Simpson called LA Lawless. So please, sit back, grab a duff, pour yourself some chili, and get ready to see one of the weirdest guest appearances I have ever seen on television. Before we can get to Homer, we must understand what the hell LA Law even is, because I guarantee most people watching this video are not familiar with this 80s to 90s show. But since I know most of you are watching just to see the weird Homer appearance, I will summarize it as quickly as possible. Okay, here it goes. LA Law is a show created by Stephen Bochco and Terry Lewis that centers around a fictional law firm set in Los Angeles where they handle a variety of cases. Still, The Office has tons of drama, romance, and some humor that makes these lawyers have to balance protecting the law and their personal lives and time. Whew, damn. New personal best. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Why the hell is Homer here? Well, to summarize, this episode centers around a character named David Champion, who used to work at Familyland as a Homer Simpson mascot. David comes to this high-end law firm in the Homer Simpson costume to help Arnie Becker, that is this guy, understand his terrible situation. You see, David here needs a lawyer to seek workers' compensation and severance pay due to being unfairly fired from Familyland after accidentally taking off his Homer mask in public, breaking the illusion that Homer isn't real and is instead David Champion. I don't know why I keep on slipping up like that.
Oh, why look, there's Dan Castellaneta from the Tracy Ullman Show.
Hey, funny man! Say something funny!
However, Arnie tries to tell David to take off the costume, but David won't budge. So, after the weirdest bathroom scene I have ever seen, where David is literally pissing himself in the Homer costume, that isn't a joke, there's literally no opening for him to even attempt to piss out of the costume.
Last night I had to take a whiz 3 times. But I was so tired I only got out of bed twice.
David then goes into a bathroom stall where he explains to Arnie that he truly cherished his time playing Homer Simpson since he always felt like a nobody in the real world, and that after losing his job bringing joy to children and adults, he feels like a complete stranger outside the costume. After hearing this tear-jerking confession, a random dude walks out of the stall. Oh wait, this is David, my bad. Even after David pisses himself, Arnie still decides to help David and takes Familyland to court. Cut to the courtroom where the casting director of Familyland is on the stand, where he explains he has casted many classic characters like Captain Squiggles, Surf and Turf, Dippy Duck, and The Simpsons. Ah yes, I know about Dippy Duck, a Familyland classic.
Marge, can I get a duck?
You already have a monkey.
Can he get a duck?
But the director then proclaims to the courts that the reason why David was fired from Familyland was for the following reasons. Now, please understand, viewer discretion is advised. The director claims that David removed his head, violating his character, and then created hysteria in the children, causing a complete bloodbath. And then the park was in ruin after.
Stop! He's already dead.
But I know that sounds outlandish, but we actually have a tape of this entire event unfolding. Okay, let's take a look.
It's not my best side.
That's it? That's it? David then gets his time on the stand, explaining that he had been working for Familyland for 19 years, going from an employee sweeping popcorn and candy wrappers to then getting the job of a lifetime, playing Homer Simpson. But being Homer isn't an easy feat. It can break a man.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
David further explained his side of the story on the reason why he took off the Homer mask. It was a hot day at Familyland and he was stuck working a double shift due to having no replacement come in to take his spot. Being outside for that long in this Homer sauna will break any man and also make them sick. So out of nowhere, David vomits inside the Homer head, and to stop himself from suffocating from his own vomits, takes off the mask to be able to breathe again. Now, this is a terrifying story to hear, and honestly, I would imagine the court would take this testimony seriously. So let's see how they react to the testimony. Yes, let's make the jury put on a bunch of Homer heads. Like, what? Yes, I get it. It allows the jury to understand David's conditions during that hot day, but still, what? This single frame is too weird to look at. Did David just have 12 spare heads at home and then just gave them to Arnie? Or did Familyland provide these heads to Arnie?
Oh my god, this man is my exact double!
By having the jury put on these Homer heads, Arnie is able to demonstrate David's working conditions in the Homer costume, allowing the jury to properly gain an understanding of what it is like to play Homer Simpson. However, Familyland fires back, saying David should have taken breaks during this shift, and then out of left field, accuses David of character misconduct outside of work after bringing a Homer costume to a children's hospital. I'm not exaggerating. At one point, they then try to say David was drunk at work after he took cold medicine, and then claim that David has destroyed Homer Simpson.
Wait a minute. Maybe it's that other grave. The one that says Simpson!
At this point, any man would break. But instead, David decides to stand up to the big man, and he delivers a testimony that will move any jury. Wait, where's David? Yes, David literally runs out of the court. Cut to Arnie returning to his office later in the day to find David sitting on his couch with the Homer costume. Can't forget that. David explains that he ran out of the courtroom because the trial was going so terribly. So he went to the only place he felt safe at, being Familyland. But after going to the park one last time, he explains that people going to Familyland are trying to escape their own issues by going to a fake reality to escape their own feelings. He then says that people don't need to run away from these harsh issues in life, and that people have to face the realities of life with either 8 fingers or 10 bars. But after all of this, David somehow wins the case against Familyland. So after this extremely weird court case, where people are pissing in Homer costumes, claiming people are drunk after taking cold medicine, and clients are running out of the courtroom after being overwhelmed, somehow David wins the case. Like, how? But this ends the David and Homer Simpson story.
In your face, Familyland!
I hate LA.
So overall, I would say that this episode will probably be my first and last time watching LA Law. Though, I can't lie, it was fun seeing Homer suing a theme park. However, I have too many questions after watching this episode of LA Law. For instance, if The Simpsons is a show in this world, does this mean that David Champion and Dan Castellaneta are twins? Like, he looks exactly like him. And I presume that if Homer is a character, that there is a Dan Castellaneta out there voicing the character for the show. Maybe they can make a sequel episode where they meet. Wait, also, is Homer the only character in Familyland from The Simpsons? Is there a Marge, Bart, Lisa, or I don't know, Krusty mascot at Familyland as well? If so, where were they during the trial? You telling me that they just let David fend for himself? And my final question is, why, how, and who decided to put Homer Simpson in an episode of LA Law? Now, I understand that literally all of these questions cannot be answered since they are impossible to know, but something that isn't impossible to do is subscribing to CapLocke. See what I did there?